So the question of the day is, how is my growing spiritual awareness changing the way I see the world? Good question. My name is Reverend Andrew Bozeman, and this is on the Wings of Your Mind. So again, the question is, how is my growing spiritual awareness changing the way I see the world? Well, I used to be a very competitive but passive-aggressive person. Let me illustrate what I mean when I say that. I was very competitive. If I was walking down the street and someone walking faster than me would pass me, then I would speed up my pace to catch up with them and regain the lead. That was an occasion, too, where I was so engrossed in winning the imaginary race that I would pass by the place I was intending to go. Of course, participating in sports would have probably satisfied that drive, but I had difficulty making all the parts of my body operate in sync. I was pretty clumsy and very uncoordinated. I had trouble catching baseballs. I had trouble dribbling basketballs. In football, I was tripping over my own feet. It was pretty bad, pretty bad. Plus, the passive-aggressive part was, of course, due to my personality, but it also was a condition of growing up because I was usually the only black kid in the room or one of the few. And that actually meant that I was considered a threat. So my being aggressive going after the leadership role was kind of out of the question because even if the other kids didn't like each other, I discovered that they could all agree that they didn't like me. So rather than aggressively pursuing leadership roles, what I did was I became the indispensable supporter, the trusted advisor. And eventually what would happen was I would get the leadership role anyway because it made sense for me to be in leadership. Well, the downside of that approach was that holding myself back was very, very frustrating. So I would get stomach cramps and severe headaches as a result of the stress from my internal self-made war. Please, click on the thumbs up button. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe. Remember, I would love to hear your thoughts, comments, and questions. So I ask you to use the what do you call that? The chat box on the right, or if it's a replay, the comment section below. Okay, so things began to change for me as I became more spiritually aware. Working with spirit can have several effects. One, it makes you acutely aware in many ways that you actually are an individualized expression of infinite intelligence. An individualized expression of infinite intelligence. Two, it changes your mind and gives you the ability to stay calm in many situations. Working with spirit really calms you down, calms your mind down. Not because you're tranquilized, but because you actually see what's going on. Three, it empowers your intuitive senses and gives you the vision to see the underlying factors affecting turmoil. So that's what I mean. You can see things that other people can't. You can begin to see and sense what's really going on rather than what you see in front of you being acted out by the players. Number four, it instills confidence because now you have the knowledge that spirit can resolve problems. Spirit can resolve problems without you having to work at it, without you having to try and fix it yourself. It will be taken care of. It's a very interesting thing to watch. Five, it creates a sense of expectancy because it brings synchronicities and can deliver opportunities. Amen. And then six, it charges your aura with an energy that gives you the power to transform situations just by being there. Just by being there. One of the most important things I've learned as a spiritual warrior is that the ability to shut out the chaos of physical reality is critical. You got to be able to shut it out. Your mind and spirit have to be quiet in order for you to access your spiritual connection to infinite intelligence. So shutting out the so-called real world gives you access to your higher self. And as you access your higher self more and more, you will notice in yourself an increased ability for equanimity, or as they say on the internet, equanimity. Okay, equanimity. Equanimity is defined as a state of psychological stability and composure, which is undisturbed by experiences of exposure to emotions, pain, or other phenomena that might cause others to lose the balance of their mind. Equanimity. Equanimity. So because of this equanimity, you will be able to see the acts of anger and hostility that people commit are actually expressions of fear. And eventually, because of the powerful peace within your aura, your very presence can begin to change situations. Bring it down. You can. I remember several years ago walking back to work after lunch with a group of coworkers. We were walking down Market Street in San Francisco, and we were passing by an area where several homeless people were congregating. Those of you who know San Francisco, it was actually Powell Street where the cable car ends. It seems that a lot of homeless people congregate there. So we were passing by this area, and suddenly one of the homeless men pulls out a large butcher knife, and he threatens angrily the man in front of him. He threatens to kill him. It's a pretty ugly situation. But my higher self saw something in that man with the knife. So I was immediately moved, and I mean moved, to walk up to within a few feet of the two men, and when I got there I said, "You don't want to do that." And the man with the knife was startled by my words, and he asked, "Who the fuck are you?" Well, I told him, "I'm someone who cares about you, and I know you don't really want to hurt anybody." Now, he stared at me for a few minutes in disbelief and confusion, I'm sure. But finally, he lowered the knife, and he started to talk to me about what was bothering him. And he totally ignored the guy that he was about to kill. And you know, he eventually gave me his knife. And I told him to leave before the police came. Now, my colleagues were like, wow. They were aghast at what had just happened, but I was not really in control. At that moment, I was an instrument of spirit. And throughout that whole incident, I was in a state of mental peace. Peace. Would I have done something like that before I became a spiritual warrior? Not a chance. I would have steered clear of that whole situation. All I would have seen was that there was anger and hostility, and I would not want any part of it. But becoming spiritually aware heightens your sensitivity to those around you. You can see, you can feel the distress, no matter how well people hide it. Becoming a spiritual warrior changes your aura with energy because you've reclaimed your energy from the past. Remember, we've been going back to the past and pulling our energy out of those situations, those emotional situations that were holding on to it. We brought the emotion down and we retrieved our energy. So more and more and more of our energy was coming into now, into the present. It's no longer being held hostage by the past. So your aura is now fully charged and it can be seen. But it's surprising who sees it. Babies and animals. That's right. Babies and animals. They operate in an alpha state of mind. It's like almost a dream state. So they can see higher vibrations than we can because we've just erased all that. We've turned all that off. So we can see the heavy, slow vibrations, but they can see the higher, fast vibrations. And that's where your aura is. So babies and animals see your aura. Now, when you start doing the spiritual awareness work, when you start doing the spiritual practice, when you start meditating and praying and affirming, your aura begins to vibrate in a rich blue color. Now, regular auras, the auras of most people, tend to vibrate with dull, darker colors. So it's kind of, eh. But our auras, when we do our spiritual work, this brilliant blue stands out. So babies and animals will stare at your aura. It's like, wow. I remember I was in a crowded airport a few months ago before the pandemic, and there were a couple of babies nearby. One was calm, but the other one was being unruly. He was just pitching a tantrum. But when he saw me, he stopped and became mesmerized by my aura. It was just... Then the other baby nearby also did the same thing. And they both sat quietly, just staring at my aura until I got up and went to buy a cup of coffee. Your aura will be energized by your spiritual work. What else does spirit do? It brings synchronicities, coincidences that are really not coincidences, job opportunities and the like. They provided me with some wonderful opportunities Spirit has. And protection. I've also been protected by Spirit in sometimes amazing ways. I remember one time I was driving a car that was on the verge of collapse, but it kept working for me because I couldn't afford to get it fixed. Finally, when I got together the money and was able to take it to a garage to get it repaired, I remember driving to the garage one night and leaving it in front because I had a friend who would drive me home after work. So I left it there and with the key, and they put the key in the slot and they picked it up the next morning. So the next morning I called to find out about the car. Well, the mechanic who had examined the car asked me how I got it to the garage. And I told him I drove it there. He laughed and he said, "You couldn't have driven this car." Boy, if you had driven this car, it would have blown up in your face. He said it wouldn't even start this morning, but the leak inside there was ready to go. So, no, you didn't drive it here. How did you get the car here? They had to push the car into the garage. In his opinion, this problem had been developing over a period of time, so the car should have been unusable for a while, unusable. But after that conversation, I realized that my car was being held together by Spirit long enough for me to get the money I needed to fix it. So the question of the day, how is my growing spiritual awareness changing the way I see the world, changing the way I be in the world? Well, one, it makes us acutely aware of the fact that you are actually an individualized expression of infinite intelligence. Two, it changes your mind and gives you the ability to stay calm in many situations. Three, it empowers your intuitive sense so you can see what's going on underneath the surface. Underneath the surface. Four, it gives you the confidence to know that Spirit can help you resolve the problem. Spirit can fix it. Five, it creates a sense of expectancy because it brings synchronicities that can deliver opportunities. And six, it charges your aura with an energy that gives you the power to transform situations by your very presence. By your very presence. Spiritual awareness, spiritual practice, they are powerful because Spirit is powerful. Spirit is real, and Spirit fills you. Because you are Spirit. You are Spirit. And what your work is doing is bringing you and your Spirit closer, closer, and closer so that your oneness will begin to shine forth out into the world that's what the world needs now, is your love. Let's close with prayer. Thank you, Infinite Intelligence, for bringing all of us together in this life so that we may become spiritual warriors and join in the work that we have come here to do. Thank you, Infinite Intelligence, for bringing us into this space of awareness and a deeper understanding of ourselves and our relationship to life and infinite intelligence. Thank you for showing us who we really are. We open our minds and hearts to the truth of our being. We are the children of God. We are individualized expressions of infinite intelligence. And because we are part of the greater whole, we're beginning to understand our value to the continuity of life on this planet. And as we become channels of your power, infinite intelligence, we can feel your presence within ourselves and within our lives more and more. And we know that as we feel your presence within our lives every day, we will rise because we are no longer cut off from you by being immersed in the darkness of fear, anger, and the pain of unforgiveness. So we are now restoring our connection through the grace of forgiveness, knowing that as we learn to forgive ourselves for the pain we have caused to ourselves, and as we learn to forgive those who have inflicted pain upon us, our connections will grow stronger, and our lives will grow happier and healthier and more prosperous. And for this, we are truly grateful. As above, so below. As within, so without. And so it is. Amen. Thank you. Please click on the thumbs up button below the video here. And if you haven't already done so, please choose to subscribe. And remember, I would love to hear your thoughts, comments, questions. So use the chat box on the right or the comment section below the screen. Again, thank you very much. This is Thursday, so I'll see you back here on Monday. And have a great weekend. I am Reverend Andrew Bozeman, and this has been On the Wings of Your Mind.